Priya. I'm so excited to do this. We are connected through your sister, Dr. Rednam, who's been on the podcast. And I'm so excited when she connected us, and like our vibe is so similar and yet so different in the fact that you work with moms, considering I am not a mother. But I just loved your message and I love getting connected. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, I love any sort of connection with women who are flipping the script, changing things up, and you absolutely, yeah, don't have to have the same life experiences to have such a beautiful conversation and be supportive of each other. I think that I truly believe there's nothing that a group of motivated women cannot accomplish in this world. So I'm really happy to be here with you.
Totally. And when your sister connected us, it was just for like a quick chat and we got off the Zoom and it was so nice connecting with you. And then as soon as I shut it, I was like, I'm an idiot. I need to have this woman on the podcast because her message is so good. There's something that you said that I loved so much. And it was basically like, you really did have it all, but there's a big difference between having it all and having what you want. And that resonated so deeply with me because I feel like over the years I've shared such a message that, for most of my life, people would have said, I literally had no problems in life. Like there was nothing wrong with my life. And I even knew there was nothing wrong with my life. And yet the problem was it was not the life that I wanted. And so when you said that, it is like, yes, you need to share your message.
Absolutely, right? I really, my whole background led me to where I am here today, and I love it, and it is quite the opposite of what I ever expected it to be. I have always been someone who definitely marches to their own drum, but I also believed there was one right way to achieve, what I wanted to professionally as well as with family and in motherhood. And yeah, all of a sudden, had everything I wanted, and this resonated from what you shared as well. Like, I, in theory, have everything I want, but why am I not enjoying life? Why am I not really feeling fulfilled in the way that I had always kind of imagined? And I realized, no, I need to do things differently. And I'll share a little bit of my background
Please do.
that brought me to this place because I really think so many of us who really are high achievers have big dreams for ourselves, but we limit ourselves to kind of what has already been laid out or what someone has presented as a path to success. So, like I said, I marched to my own drum, and at 17, I told my parents I am the proud daughter of Indian immigrants, but I told them I wanted to go to West Point for college, which let me tell you, is not the norm for, a daughter of Indian immigrants, much less any child of Indian immigrants, and they thankfully have always really supported my dreams and wanted me to just be successful. Right, whatever that looked like. So I signed up and certainly was one of the hardest experiences of my life, but I grew so much and I recognized my strength and resilience and really proudly served as a medical operations officer in the US Army for about 5 years. And then I really decided to take all of those experiences, especially in public health and being of service. I'm really a true believer in servant leadership where to be a great leader, you need to let other people shine, and you bring out that shine, and then you get to bask in the glow. So I took all of that into higher education. I finished 2 graduate degrees, and coming out of Johns Hopkins in particular, I knew I wanted to make huge change in the mental wellness space. I just could see so many people struggling, and in particular, women and families, and I didn't believe it had to be that way. So I was checking all the boxes, hitting all the position titles, building the resume, and I thought, "Gosh, I've done all these hard things in life. Now I'm ready." I'd met the love of my life, who I'm still thankfully, joyfully married to today, and we're ready to have a family, and I thought, "Gosh, I've done all these hard things. How hard could motherhood be?" I've literally jumped out of perfectly good airplanes as a paratrooper. Like, changing diapers? I've got that, that's in the bag. But I wasn't ready to shift from, okay, this idea of having it all to having what I want, and recognizing that another person's version of professional ambition and motherhood was was not my version, wasn't really gonna be fulfilling for me. And so it was only through my own challenges, frankly, in early motherhood. I had a traumatic birth experience with my first kiddo and was really high anxiety to the max. And I was trying to apply this achievement mentality to motherhood and knocking it out of the ballpark at my work and taking care of everyone in my life. And I had to have like a spiritual moment of this is not working for me anymore. I'm not happy in my life. The people around me who I love with all of my heart, I'm not able to show up as the best version of myself with them. And so it's only after that in my own healing journey of recognizing, oh, I'm actually using someone else's playbook for happiness. I'm not using my own. And doing that like deep reflective work to realize I'm going to create something new. And that's really where the shift to having what I want. I had to kind of harness that old self that was willing to set on a new path, march my own drum, and then create something new for myself. And I'm really proud of myself that I did it. I think my whole family, certainly my children, have benefited, but more than anything, I get to show up for myself in a really amazing way. And in doing so, I really came to this real heart work of showing up for other mothers in a similar way. So now I created a thriving maternal mental health practice here in Michigan, but even more excited, I get to do this really awesome coaching with high achieving women who are trying to find their right way. I always say there's infinite right ways to be a parent and be an awesome, like badass woman changing the world, but you have to find your right way. If you're waiting for someone to give you permission or lay out a different path, well, it's not going to work for you. It has to be customized to you. So that's really where I am in my life, and I get to bring all of my school and doing, the steps towards achievement into it, but it's really such hard work and I get to bring out the shine in every client I coach.
So there's so many things that you said there. Something in particular that I really like is the fact that I've said something similar for a very long time and in regards to like business and life is that there's not one right way. Like there's not one way to make money, there's not one way to do business, there's not one way to find happiness. So thank you for saying that because I do believe unfortunately we have the social media now that says like follow these 5 steps or, do this course or follow me and I'll tell you exactly the things that I did. And so I'm very happy that you said that because I don't believe that's true. And I hope that that's very empowering for those who are listening because there's a million ways to be successful and there's a million ways to do your own life. Something that you said there, though, that I really wanted for you to kind of give us a little bit more because I'm sure so many women are listening to this and it really resonates with them. How did you know in the beginning, like when you had come into motherhood and you're like, "Oh my god, like, I am not happy. This is not working for me." How did you know that? I feel like a lot of people know they're not, but, like, there's so much shame, there's so much fear, and how did you decide to do something different? Because I think that that's the part that so many people are missing.
Yeah, no, thank you for that question. Yeah, so many people know that something feels off or not what they expect, but they really can't recognize like yeah, I need to like the status quo is just not working for me and I have to make a change. So for me, I had my first kiddo Jack and was really like high stress. And then I brought home my second little nugget, Leela, and she was born with a unilateral cleft lip. So needed surgery right away. Thankfully, my sister was a huge part of supporting us. And now I mean, she was always gorgeous, but she's extra gorgeous now. And I think I just realized after that, because it is traumatic, right, for a little one to go through a surgery, and even more so for parents. I think I just hit a point where I'm like, no, I can't give the best of myself to my kids who I love so much, and to myself, to my husband, to all of the people and my professional demands that I love. I just can't do it. And my hope, right, is that we as women, we don't wait till we get to that point. Thankfully, I was still standing. I had high anxiety, high stress, lots of racing thoughts, lots of to-do lists that never were getting accomplished. And it just felt constant failure, I think is probably the thought or emotion that came up most often. I'm like, there was an incongruence. I'm looking at my kids who are happy and healthy. I'm looking at these achievements in my life, but I didn't feel the success. And that's really where I had to stop. I was like, what is my definition of success? Is it my money in my bank? Is it my title? Is it my kids hitting a milestone at a particular time? What is my definition? And I really had to kind of strip away all of the external and have real honest conversations myself, and only through that could I say like, "Ooh, yeah, I was just operating on somebody else's definition of success," or maybe multiple definitions that really didn't work for me. But more than anything, yeah, it was just kind of a constant feeling of failure, high anxiety. I'm someone who feels things, mind, body, spirit. I would feel constantly tense, um, really just always having a running deficit list, much more than a running list of things that were filling my cup, or just felt like, "Oh, yeah, that I'm adding value, or I'm doing something really great with my life."
So you're feeling these things, and I'm sure that there's so many women that have, like, been like, "Oh my god, she's telling my story or a version of my story." What was the first thing that you did? Obviously, you have a background as a therapist, so obviously that's probably somewhat helpful for you, but also too, like, ho for those of you who don't perhaps have, like, the background as being a clinical therapist, what was the first step that you took? Did you reach out to someone? Did you hire someone? Like, what was that very first thing that you did when you're like, "Oh my god, this is not normal and this is not working?"
Yeah. Yeah, I once I realized, and we're really given so many, kind of messages that this is normal, I wanna say first, but once I realized, nope, I have enough, clinical knowledge that I know that this is not normal, and I had to first give myself compassion because I was extra hard at first on myself because I'm like, "I'm a therapist, I should know better. I should know that there is really important preparation, a mindset shift in going into parenthood and be ready for that." So I had to get rid of the judgment, first and foremost, and then absolutely, I reached out to someone who not just was, like, for everyone to support my mental wellness, but someone who had specialty training in working with mothers in the period that's called perinatal, right? From trying to conceive through postpartum. It's like, I'm an expert. I love experts. And I love to be able to say, like, I know this person with confidence can support me. So shout out to Sharon. I love her. I talked to her in a long time, but she's incredible. And she was able to really pull me from a deep place of struggle to back on my feet, to know here's what I value in myself, here's what my values are, and then really equip me and empower me to decide what I do want for my life and live accordingly. So just even in the time that we worked together, was able to work through the trauma that I experienced with the birth of my son, the trauma with my daughter's surgery. I was able to work through all of that and be well. What I especially can note, yeah, as you're saying, like, most women, they're struggling, it's so normalized, and they don't have that knowledge that, like, working with an expert can make all the difference in the world. I worked with, an expert in a therapeutic space, but what I love about coaching now is I get to do all of the things, right? Therapy is 1 hour a week typically, and it is, what happens in the session happens there, and then you're kind of done, and I get to really help mothers transition into the season of receiving all of the support, all of the things, and I get to share my own personal experiences, which is really cool. But, yeah, that first step of engaging with an expert who had that niche expertise was, like, everything.
Yeah, so one of the things when Priya and I talked about, we mentioned that, her sister connected us, and we just got on a quick connection call, and one of the things that you said is, "I am a licensed therapist, but I'm actually excited about switching into the coaching realm," which I do, because there's so much more that you can do, and I told you even on our call, I said, "For years, I've said, like, therapy is wonderful, but there's a huge difference between coaching and therapy," and I think as a coach, and obviously I'm not a therapist, but as a coach, one of the things that I always say is like, we can talk all day long in that one session, but unless we're taking actual actions and I'm able to support you outside of what would be like a therapy type of session, it really doesn't move the needle. And I think it's really cool that you're saying, like, yes, I still own a therapy business. Like, this is something that I'm very passionate about. I'm not giving up my therapy license, but as a coach, I can do so much more. And I think that that's so helpful for people to hear because I think it's like the in between therapy sessions. Like, that's the reason why I am such a proponent of what I do, where my clients get 24/7 access to me because, like, there is so much that happens between sessions. So, yeah, thank you for
I
saying
love that. Yeah, no, I love that too about what you're doing because absolutely it's the action. And that's really why I love working with high achieving women because we speak that language of action and we recognize, oh, this person has expertise and they're providing this leadership. Let me like use that. And we can with my coaching clients wherever they are, like a leader of industry, tech, medical, entrepreneurs, we can create a really customized plan that they can take action on. And then for most of my coaching clients who work with me, yeah, they have that around the clock access. I love voice notes; they're amazing. I love that so much more than typing out an email. And
yeah.
yeah, you get that genuine connection, and I get to bring out all of my therapeutic expertise, but I also get to bring my life experience as a mom, my leadership experience, and I get to be really like a cheerleader, a sister, a coach. I get to bring in the science. I get to do all of that and do it more in real time. And yeah, every person I work with gets their, customized playbook that's really because it's written with them, it's for them. It's not just a here, download this thing, one size fits all. No, this is like us, we're in it together. And it's really in a therapeutic sense for me, healing because it's a lot of what if I could go back, I wish I had, but I didn't. And now I get to make meaning of that experience by giving that to my coaching clients.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting that so many people in like, just the coaching space have kind of started to lean on this. It's like I have been doing this like literally for 7 years when everyone else
Yeah.
changes their freaking name and title 17 times. I'm like, no, 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 this is the exact thing that I've been doing because I've just seen the results for such a long period of time and being in it with someone to be that safe space to hold them accountable, to give them the external perspective. It is the thing that changes the game. And it's kind of cool as someone with your background has like really witnessed that and been like, no, 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 this is the thing that's working. And it is the most important thing. And I think, a lot of people who get into this have really a story behind it. And your story was like, I was you. Like, I can help you get through this differently and better and quicker and faster. And like, you don't have to struggle. And like, it is interesting because obviously I have a lot of clients who are parents, but obviously, I'm not a parent myself. But something that you said that I think is so interesting is that the narrative is that it's normal to feel like that. And you are just like, "Hi, I am the person who's telling you this is not supposed to be the normal."
Right. Yeah. I mean, I see mothers all the time who have done huge things in their life. Then they move mountains to bring their babies into this world. And they don't get to reap any of the joy, right? Like, they don't get to, like, actually I mean, so many moms I work with, they worry that they're not even gonna remember it because they're in a constant state of stress. And yeah, we're so deserving of actually enjoying the experience. Are there challenges? No doubt. It's transformative, right? Like, how can you not have some stress, like the good kind of stress as you transform, but you don't need to be alone on it. You don't need to feel chaos in it. You can have a lot of support. Once you really ground to like this is the vision I want for my life at both as a professional and as a mom, then you can focus on, okay, what is that? Like really, I love painting pictures, right? With my clients. What does that look like for you in your community? I work with people all over the country. Like, what does that look like in Houston? What does that look like here in Detroit? Like, let's really talk about that vision in a real way, not just, oh, that would be so nice if that could be true. No, it can be true with action. And then we develop a really customized I always use like it's concentric circles, like layers of support. And maybe that would include a therapist if that's a right support for that particular client, maybe not. But yeah, you get to really feel not alone. We're not meant to do business alone. We're not meant to do parenthood alone. We're supposed to be in community. And so often we're really not encouraged or taught how to do that. So I love really walking through that with each client and creating their version of support and their version of motherhood, professional ambition, all of it. And they get to do it with joy rather than from a place of desperation.
Yeah, so when a client comes to you, do they come to you you and I know this because you and I were talking because I think I have a couple of people that are in my mind that I think could be, good people for your support, but what is an ideal client coming to you? Like, where are you at? Like, are you, like, just getting pregnant? Are you just having the baby? Like, are you postpartum? Like, what does that actually look like, in the spectrum to make sure that, like, a person either doesn't get to, like, quote, unquote, "the rock bottom" of, like, "Oh my gosh," or are they in it? Like, what does that actually look like?
Yeah, so I would say, it looks different. Sometimes it is clients that are just becoming pregnant or they're trying to conceive, and they're so used to, "Oh, if I just work hard enough at it, this will happen." That is not always the case,
Oh,
certainly
I'm
with
sure that is
pregnancy.
I'm sure you get that all the time because 'cause they're
Yeah,
so successful at everything else that this is
absolutely.
like, "What is wrong with me?"
Yes, and if they have a really analytical brain, I'm thinking one of my clients who's an engineer, right? Like, they're trying to problem solve in a way that is not helpful for them mentally, body, spirit, all of that. So sometimes that'll be the case where I'm really helping them to work through just coming into motherhood. But most often, most of my clients are somewhere in their pregnancy, usually about halfway through or so, and then anywhere through early postpartum to later. Research shows that if you don't get support, you will stay in that high stress, normalized but not healthy state for years, especially if you end up having another kiddo. So that was my experience. I was in it for my two oldest birth children are 2 years apart, so, like, I didn't really hit that spot until of realizing I needed change. I had been in it for 2 years. So sometimes I'm working with moms 1, 2 years postpartum. Ideally, my sweet spot, where I'd love to support them because I can help them to make effective change really fast through action is, yeah, about midway through their pregnancy through, I would say, the first 3 to 6 months postpartum. But up to a year is really, really effective as well. And what's really cool about the coaching is this blueprint that we kind of create together, this playbook that's so personalized, it can be applied as our kids grow, right? Because it's so grounded in values that as your kids become school age, as your kids grow even older than that, you can still operate off of it. It's just you're really creating it based off of the highest demand time as a mother.
I'm in the brains of, with a lot of my clients over the years, I'm in the brains of those high achievers. And something that I can hear people saying, because I've heard 1,000 times when it comes to, whether it be family, whether it be business, is the fact that, like, I am supposed to be able to do this by myself. Like,
Mm.
I have done everything by myself. And, I always reflect to them. I'm like, okay, cool. How's it going? You know what
Sort
I
them
mean?
for
Like,
you. Yeah.
for me, I always reflect, I'm like, "Yeah, you're right, you totally could, but how's it going?" And so, what do you say to those people who are like, "I should not need help for this. I have done everything up until this point very successfully, and, like, what is wrong with me?"
Yeah, such a great question because we get that all the time, right? Like, I should be able to do this. And I say, okay, you could do it and be miserable, stress, high anxiety, you name it. But just because you could do it doesn't mean you have to want to. Why don't we like break the norm and really flip the script and say like, why don't we why don't we start with prioritizing our joy and our wellness? And everything should be constructed based off of that. And then yeah, you can do it differently. And also to recognize it's not a failure to not do it by yourself. I mean, historically, all different cultures, you can clearly see we were meant to do this together. That village mentality, and we've just kind of gotten away with it. And a lot of, especially if you are on social media, a lot of messaging is like, oh, it's a badge of honor to do it by yourself. Also, there's a huge identity shift. I think it's helpful to point out, right? A lot of our success professionally may be born out of some hyper independence. Like, wow, I'm a trailblazer. I'm going to do it differently. I'm an entrepreneur. I built this from the ground up, or I have this novel idea. And yeah, I mean that's something to be proud of. It just doesn't translate well to motherhood because our kids aren't an achievement. They aren't something that we need to scrape and grit through. We get to just enjoy and have all of the support that we need. And we don't have to lose our identity. We're just adding to it. It's an enhancement. We don't have to pretend like, oh gosh, now I'm dependent on everybody for everything because I needed my village. Aren't we? I just believe like our lives, our children's lives, our business, everything is enriched by genuine connection with people who are cheerleading for you. I do a lot of talking with with coaching clients about who's actually in your corner because sometimes we tend towards hyper independence because we don't believe that the people who are supposedly our support system are really showing up for us. So I'll even help clients through like actual kind of scripts or conversations using their voice of like, here's how you talk to the people that are supposed to be supporting you. And you let them know what you want support with and what you want to continue to feel independent with. But it really, yeah, it's an identity shift. And it really is breaking up that norm of how we're told we're supposed to do things and instead shift to what we want from the experience.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of women over the years, and something that I've always heard, not always, but a vast majority of my clients when we start to work together, and most of them come to me for like either the business or the mindset. And over the years, one of the common themes, if a person stays with me for an extended period of time, is how much it actually improves their children's lives. And that has been something that I've probably not articulated enough over the years of how much women have a hard time investing in themselves and taking care of themselves. But once they do it, they realize how unselfish it really is because it blesses their families so much and it changes the lives of their families. And I think if any moms are listening to this, women have a hard time investing in themselves, taking care of themselves, putting themselves first. But if you can hear one thing, it would be that it is the least selfish thing that you can do. And I'm sure in your work, what is really like beneficial and really translating is not just for the mom, but how this work changes the lives of their children.
Oh, absolutely. I so appreciate you saying that. And yeah, I love that you've had that experience too of this this idea that we are worthy of investing in ourselves and not as a cherry on top for life. It is a foundational piece of certainly we're worthy just of receiving that ourselves, but everyone in our lives, to include our kids who mean the world to us, right? They all get this better version of us too. So it's a selfless act and we're really taught to celebrate self-sacrifice. And so this feels so foreign and different, but it's actually so much more powerful for our families. And now I've got 4 beautiful kiddos, and I feel such a joy to be with them. We sit around the table, do homework together, and I talk about my work with them. That's a part of what I bring to my children, and they get why it's so important for me. And then when I'm working with coaching clients, I get to share that too. Like to be able to care for myself enhances everything I do. And I want that for all really driven moms out there. I want them to have that experience as well.
Can you share an example with us of something that, as a typical, because I want women to put themselves in the story if they haven't already. I mean, my gosh, I feel like, again, I'm not a mom, but I feel like I can put myself in this story because I've heard it so many times. Can you share an example of with us of one of your coaching clients of how they basically come to you in a position or a situation, postpartum, and that it's really the work that you've done together or something that you've done together that people at home perhaps maybe they do end up working with you, or perhaps we can just give them one takeaway of something that like is a very common theme amongst your clients so they can put themselves in the story and then see if we can, help some more people out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I love talking about Experience that I had with a coaching client who is an entrepreneur, and I like talking about her because her business was her baby, right? Before she had a baby, her business was her baby, and she cares still so deeply about her business. And she came to me just before giving birth, a bit panicked, like, "Oh my gosh, how am I going to both continue to thrive as a leader and an entrepreneur and bring this new little one into the world?" And she really was, again, trying to fit herself into someone else's mold. And what we realized together really quickly, we were able to peel back like all of the deficit mindset and find all of the strengths and really recognize which ones are going to serve her really well as she creates a plan for her business, but then also which ones will serve her really well as a parent. And then we really focused on the being, like, how could she prioritize her wellness? And a big part of her wellness was being able to be still actively involved with her business. For some moms, completely having a retreat, a period of time that's a step away, like that motherhood pause is the right answer. And that's really what she was being told over and over, like, just take a break, it'll be fine. But that wasn't her. So what we did, we really sat down and said, "Okay, what does this look like where you can make space for healing and rest and bonding with baby and really enjoying that experience? And then how do we want to incorporate taking care of your first baby, your business?" And for her, it was creating space almost within the first, I would say, 5 days postpartum for her to check in with her team, for her to have a couple minutes for emails, which for some moms that would be like the last thing that they want to do, but that fills her cup. And really we created with that, how do you communicate with the people who are there to support you? Because I'll tell you, her mom, her mother-in-law, even her husband were like, "No, that's not what you're supposed to be doing right now. You should be just resting. You should be fill in the blank." And so we really, yeah, we talked through how that would look. We were able to create those communication avenues with the people who cared about her, build out really meaningful layers of support to include individuals in her business that could give her a brief summary of here's what's going on today. And that was really healing for her in a lot of ways to think about moving back into through motherhood, through this early part of motherhood and moving back into the work. And then we talked about here are the actual self-care routines that are custom to you. Right? People throw around the word self-care all the time, but that wasn't really helpful right for her life. So moving her body, being able to walk, you shared, that walk every day is so important to you. That was really helpful for her. And what she would do while she was on her walk, she would throw her earbuds in and listen to the kinds of podcasts or news or information, professional reading that was really supportive of her. So she made that a daily ritual and gave her an opportunity to, again, find her balance where she was absolutely still that entrepreneur, but then also got to come back as a really well version of herself to her little baby when she finished her walk. And we talked about how that will translate and created a very step by step 1, 2, 3 plan of okay. As she wants to be back in at work more, what that would look like. And we created all of the layers of support nanny, daycare, in laws, all of the people who would help her to thrive.
I love that. I think there's a couple things that you said that I want people to hear. Number 1, this is the reason why I love coaching so much, is because I think that sometimes people, like you said, we come into certain situations, whether it be business, whether it be marriage, whether it be children, and there's these rules that people say are like, well, this is what you have to do, or this is what you're supposed to do. I mean, I can just feel this to my core, even though it's not about the motherhood. But I think the thing that you said is very customized. But I think sometimes the thing that people are really looking for is the permission they do not need. So if you want to go
Mm.
back and listen to a podcast I did, I think it's one of my top rated solo podcasts, but it was the permission that you do not need. Because I think oftentimes people are looking for the permission to say, I know in my soul, if I do one thing as a coach, I think the best thing that I do is help people really listen to themselves. And when I was listening to you talk about this client of yours, it's really about listening to herself. She needed the permission to say, this is what I want to do. This is what I know will work for me. But everyone else, whether maybe it's her mom, her husband, her mother-in-law, her friends, everyone is saying, I need to do it this way. And deep within her soul, she needed to do it her way. And it was the permission that she didn't really need, but she kinda did from you to say, "It's okay. You can do it this way. There's no right way to do this. We have to figure out the way that works best for you." And I think sometimes people will think, "Well, gosh, why would I have to pay a coach for that?" And I always just, like my head just, like, boggles because I'm like, why would you not pay for that? It's the thing that is going to make your life so much better is to be able to do the thing that you know you need to do. And really what I'm hearing you say there is you just gave her the permission to trust herself, listen to herself, block out the noise and do the thing and create an action plan based upon her life. I think that's absolutely fabulous. And I hope people are hearing this, whether it be for motherhood, for business, for marriage, for just self. Like being able to listen to yourself is one of the greatest tools that you can possibly ever implement for more joy, less stress, less overwhelm. And we just don't prioritize it. It just clearly my energy peaked up because I'm just like, I'm so passionate about this.
Honor I'm right in that passion with you, and I always tell moms too, our brand new babies, they know how to ask for what they want, right? They will cry, they will make it known. Somehow we unlearn that as we grow. Like we unlearn caring for ourselves. And I think women in particular are given so many signals that they're supposed to shift from caring for ourselves to caring for others. And absolutely there's virtue in caring for others, but how do we do that if we don't prioritize what feels right for us? Yeah, we get to do life on our terms. We get to absolutely define success in our own way as a professional, as a mom. And yeah, you're right. You don't need anyone's permission to do it. But I love as a coach being able to say, but here it is. You didn't need it, but here it is. And I really do it again through painting that picture. Like, what do you want life to look like? Rather than handing someone a picture of what it should look like. I get to create that with them, which is so fulfilling. So fulfilling.
Yeah, it's truly like the greatest work. And I just want to say thank you for doing it. And like, thank you for just really honing in on the area of expertise that you're the best at and that has been something that you needed in life. I mean, I think that those who are in this coaching world who do it so beautifully are those who have been where so many people are and have been able to get themselves to where, you seem like I always say I'm one of the happiest people you ever meet because I decided. And it seems like you're in a really amazing space as well because you're getting to help other people do the exact same thing. So if women are listening to this
Mhm.
and they want to connect with you, learn from you, hear from you, how would they do that? Where do they find you? Give us all of the information.
Absolutely. So the easiest way to find me is probably through my website, right? It's just my name, priyarednamwaldo.com. And you can fill out an inquiry form there and we'll set up a discovery call, get to know one another, because it's so important to me, as I'm sure in your coaching, that it's a good match. Like I want to support women who feel like, "Ah, yeah, I can knock it out of the ballpark for them. And that they also feel like, yeah, I'm the right fit for their life. So I love to set that up. Additionally, I always try to put great social media information out there. I love seeing yours because yeah, it should feel inspiring. You should feel good after you see it, not stressed and anxious that you're doing life wrong. So my name as well, Priya Rednam Waldo, and I just put yeah, great like affirmations, things that are changing the way that we can do motherhood and do life, right? To really go after it on our terms. So those are the best ways. I really prioritize my coaching clients to be available to them and to really start working together sooner rather than later because it's those action steps. You're deserving of really thriving in life. And so I don't like people to have to wait on that. So I really, anyone who would be interested, I try to get in and get connected as soon as possible.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you said, it's your priority, your clients are your priority and a great fit too. I always say that, it's kind of funny, but I'm like, your money won't change my life, but it definitely could change yours. And I want to work with those who are extremely excited about the opportunity to work together because, hiring a coach is not a magic bullet, but it is the work together that can be the magic bullet for what it is that you want in your life. And so thank you for saying that because I think it's super important whether you're listening to this, for business or motherhood or all of the things, make sure the person that you really are working with is the person that you 100% are committed to being there and being the right person because again, there's no right person or there's no right way. You get
Right.
to do it on your terms. So we will have Priya's Instagram and name and website linked into the show notes. Be sure to share this one with moms. Be sure to go follow her and check her out. You do some speaking engagements as well. You're all over the map, based up in Detroit, but obviously you work all over the place. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. You guys, please, please, please share this again.
Thank you so much. It was lovely chatting today.
Thanks, girl.